So, as Brent mentioned, space is becoming increasingly important. The old style of U.S. warfare was often described as attrition warfare, where we didn't really know where targets were and couldn't find them or strike them very effectively. Next, please. Around the time of the Gulf War in 1991, Operation Desert Storm, things seemed to change pretty radically, and space was a big part of that story in terms of finding targets, guiding weapon systems to those targets, guiding specific bombs to their targets, and then assessing whether or not they were struck precisely or not. And we saw a disproportionate effect from a very small percentage of precision guided munitions on the overall strategic outcome of the war. Next, please. And things continue to evolve today. Space and unmanned aerial vehicles are more involved with operations than ever. Space is essential in tying together all of those aspects of modern military operations. And in places like Ukraine, we're seeing that a country like Ukraine, which actually has no space capabilities of its own to speak of, is really effectively leveraging commercial and some other capabilities that are being provided by others, but primarily commercial space capabilities. And it's radically improving the effectiveness of their military operation. So things continue to evolve, and we're seeing more and more importance and efficiency and effectiveness out of those commercial systems. Next, please. And this is just showing you specifically what precision strike means in terms of air power. So it's telling you that it was over 1,500 B-17s to achieve the same impact as a single B-17. And when you load up a B-2 with small diameter bombs, it actually has greater effectiveness than that fleet of 1,500 B-17s in terms of striking individual targets. Next, please. And this is just showing you that when you marry a small diameter bomb with a glide bomb unit, it can actually fly a long ways away from the flight path of the aircraft. And one of the things that's really different about using precision guidance from a GPS is that the longer the bomb is in flight, the more chance it has to correct its position and become more and more accurate. So that's very different than traditional operations as well, where you want to be basically as low and slow over the target as possible. Now you want to be as high, and it really doesn't matter about your speed. But if everything's working correctly and you know where the target is, the longer your flight time, the more accurate that bomb's going to become on its way down. Next, please. So this is just showing you the major areas where our space-based capabilities reside in those columns of environmental monitoring, satellite communications, position, navigation, timing, missile warning, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. The next row then shows where those satellites operate. So polar, low Earth orbit, primarily for environmental monitoring. And then below that is the specific satellite. So there's also a dash line in each of those columns. And below the dash line are future systems. If they're in yellow, it's a future system. It was a program of record that has been canceled. So things like NPOS and DWSS were canceled, TSAT canceled, et cetera. So one of the things I'll highlight there is there is no program of record replacing global positioning system. So that's something the United States needs to consider carefully in terms of how we will gain that capability going forward.